I'm doing a full card UFC 3-weight breakdown, Max Holloway versus Topuria. I wanted to do this yesterday or right after the fight, but I had an allergic reaction, really bad hives. I took Benadryl, that shit put me to sleep really instantly, and I slept for like 6 hours. But we're just gonna pick up where we left off. We're just gonna keep going. Um, Whole card. By the way, this card was extremely good. I'd say like an 8 out of 10. Really good card, but it's in Abu Dhabi, so obviously there's gonna be some BS. We already know how it is, and we're not gonna pretend like we don't. We already know what happened. Renat versus Carlos Leo. I'm gonna say Leo. He apparently doesn't like that. Renat versus Carlos Leo. This fight was just a clear 29-28 Carlos Leo, arguably 30-27. Renat just didn't win the fight. I don't know how he got a 30-27. Probably the worst scorecard in MMA history. And that's not like, I'm not exaggerating. That's a real statement. Like, that's, you can look into that fight. He did not win 30-27. He barely won a single round. Carlos Leo destroyed him. But at the end of the day, it's Abu Dhabi. We already said it. And the reason I chose Renat was because I was like, even if it goes to decision, which it most likely will, Renat's going to get the decision. But I only said that because I thought it would be a lot closer. This fight was probably one of the worst robberies I've ever seen in my life. It genuinely was trash, but Abu Dhabi continues to surprise you of how many like bullshit mistakes they do. I don't know. I'm still just thinking about the 30-27 is horrible. Renat, he he didn't have an answer. He couldn't wrestle Carlos Leo. Carlos Leo has amazing strength because he's on steroids, very clearly. He didn't have an answer for the wrestling. He couldn't strike with him. He got jabbed. He got beat up the whole time. Carlos Leo, if he didn't like gas out a little bit, I'm sure he would have finished Renat. Renat looked really helpless in that fight. Even though he won maybe a round, he looked really helpless. I'd say even though Carlos Leo lost, we got to keep him in the UFC. He's a good fighter skill wise, but make sure he's not on steroids. He was clearly on steroids. He was the most obvious on steroids I've ever seen in my life, besides Brock Lesnar, most likely. It's just he had body acne everywhere. For welterweight, he looked huge. He was gigantic. He looked worse than the Bilal Muhammad in like the Leon Edwards fight. He was clearly on steroids. Every sign you need to tell someone's on steroids, he had it. But he's a good fighter, so like if we can like test him and he's completely clean, keep him in the UFC obviously. But this, I understand why we couldn't test him because it was a short notice fight. He couldn't go in the pool, in the drug testing pool. Honestly, I don't even really feel bad for him because he was on steroids, but it's like he clearly deserved the fight, clearly won. Keep him in the UFC. He's a good fighter. Actually, I'm kind of excited for him, but if he's off steroids, it could either make or break him because a lot of the reason he beat Renat was just based off pure strength and takedown. Not he had good technique, but he could really just push the pace later on, and he just had pure a strength advantage. I don't know if that has to do with his steroids or if he's perfectly clean. He's on steroids. If he comes back and he says he's not on steroids, I don't know, bro. Like that's lying. It's just lying. By the way, I chose Renat. I mean, I got the win, but I don't really feel like I got the win. Ishmael versus Bruno Silva. I called this fight basically perfectly. I said Ishmael's gonna win decision because Bruno Silva, while he does stay competitive, while he is in fights, he's not really in the fight. Like he does enough to scrape by, but not win. Like he doesn't win. He's just in the fight. Anthony Smith, very Anthony Smith like. He's a different fighter. He's broken. He doesn't want it anymore. He doesn't want to fight anymore. I mean, look, he threw 38 punches, or he landed 38 punches. There was times where he just needed to go for it, and he didn't. He just didn't go for it. And I exactly said this. I said Bruno Silva, he doesn't have it in him anymore. Ishmael's the guy who wants to prove himself, who wants to be in the UFC. Bruno Silva's just there for a paycheck. Good wrestling by Ishmael, good striking, but like I said, Bruno Silva's beat. But Ishmael looked good. I mean, he was in the UFC once, he got cut. Didn't have the best regional record, at least after he got cut from the UFC. But he looks UFC level. He's really UFC level. Because despite what I say about Bruno Silva, Bruno Silva, he beats cans. He will be a can who just doesn't belong in the UFC. Ishmael, he's obviously not a can. I said that his body kicks would be good. I said that really just his striking. He's a strong, powerful striker, and he can wrestle. He can really mix everything up. Really experienced, by the way. Bruno Silva just doesn't have that dog in him anymore. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He wants the paycheck. And at this point, why not? Why not just get the paycheck? So, good for him. I wouldn't be surprised if Bruno Silva got cut. He probably deserves it because, like I say, he just doesn't want to fight anymore. I chose Victor Hugo here because I thought he'd be able to push a pace. I know I know Bashirat, he just has a lot of stamina. He can push a pace. Also, Victor Hugo missed weight by 10 pounds. Another reason I thought if you're missing weight by 10 pounds, you can't afford to lose. And Victor Hugo has a lot of experience, and he's a good fighter. Like, we know he's a good fighter. He has a lot of experience compared to Bashirat. And I thought he'd win this one by decision, but Bashirat just put all the pace on him. He really just overwhelmed Victor Hugo, who had a 10-pound advantage. He missed weight by 10 pounds. And credit to Bashirat, still came in, still fought him. And give him top 15. I don't understand why. If this is a perfect fight for him, because it's like Victor Hugo is obviously a guy who's top 15 level. He's just not in the top 15 now that Bashirat's fought him. Just give him top 15. He took the fight when he didn't have to. He didn't have to take the fight. He did. Honestly, I thought he lost the first round. Victor Hugo had a really good leg submission. I'm blanking on what it was exactly, but he almost submitted him really tight, really good. That sounds horrible. And then Bashirat he snuck his way out, took control of the second and third round, had really good wrestling, outstruck him. Like I said, Bashirat, him and his team were very good, very smart fighters. That's why even without a lot of experience, they can push through against these guys who do have experience because they're very smart, very good at game planning. And Bashirat has earned all of my respect. He didn't have to take this fight. Victor Hugo missed weight by 10 pounds, and he still put on a class. He still clearly won 2-1 in my opinion. Maybe 3-0. He maybe won 3-0. So great performance by Bashirat. As a Chris Barnett enjoyer, this fight is very sad to me. But it was the most obvious fight to call. Kennedy Nezuchukwu, I hate pronouncing his name. Why? Fuck Abu Dhabi, bro. I hate pronouncing these guys. I know he's not from Abu Dhabi or anything. He's Nigerian. But still. Kennedy versus Chris Barnett, this fight made me really sad. But it was very obvious. Like, Chris Barnett hasn't fought in 2 years. His mentality is completely different. He lost his wife, RIP, very sad. Which is why I was rooting for him to win. He's gone through so much in the last 2 years that I don't think he cares about fighting as much. He looked really happy to be in the ring. But he pulled a Brian Ortega where he jumped up and rolled his ankle. And that actually ended up playing a huge part in the fight. You can't be 300 pounds, morbidly obese, 5'8". You can't just be jumping up like you're fucking speed, like a super athlete. Unless you're a football linebacker and you're 300 pounds, I don't want to see you jumping up as high as you can and then landing right before your fight. Your ankles can't take that. And this is a guy that throws spinning heel kicks all the time. He does a bunch of athletic stuff. You haven't fought in 2 years. Why are you jumping when you're 300 pounds and 5'8"? Why are you jumping like 3 feet in the air? Your ankles aren't going to take that. He's morbidly obese. He's fun. I like him. But he is morbidly obese. I love him still. I feel bad for him, but like I said, this is just a really obvious pick. Despite his injury, Kennedy would have won the fight either way. He was piecing him up even before. Chris Barnett threw a spinning heel kick. When he landed, it looked like he hyperextended his knee. People were saying that. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't mean shit. Yeah, he probably did. He probably did because he's 300 pounds and he can't take it. But it didn't mean shit. Kennedy was still striking him up the whole time. This was the most winnable fight for Kennedy. This was the most guaranteed fight on the card. If you picked Chris Barnett because you genuinely thought Chris Barnett would win, you're a retard. There's not much to it, yeah. Kennedy Nezuchukwu, he just destroyed him. I know it was only one round, but he destroyed him very clearly. This fight's a little weird. I chose Abus because I said Abus would be able to push him in the later rounds, which he kind of didn't at the same time. I said that he'd win by decision. I don't trust Bruno Ferreira. I think he's not as good as people think he is. Yeah, he has a lot of knockout power, but Abus is still a really good kickboxer in the first round, and I'm thinking he already got exposed for his cardio against Sean Strickland, where he only had a round of cardio. Surely he's learned from that. He worked a really good amount of cardio. Surely his cardio is more than one round. That's what I was thinking. It's not still. It's a little better, but still only one round. But Bruno Ferreira's cardio is only one round too, and that's the only reason I chose Abus. Because I'm like, it's two guys who have horrible cardio. I'm going to pick the more experienced guy with the more technical ability. I didn't choose submission. Like I said, I chose decision. Honestly, it was a close fight. I thought Abus had control a lot of this fight, but the stats say it was close. I thought Abus landed better. He almost got finished. He got rocked. I don't know if he got knocked down. But Bruno Ferreira is... he's kind of a retard. Something I've learned about these guys who look like they're on steroids, who don't have much technical skill, who are just carried by power, they're really retarded. And like I said, that's why I chose Abus, because he's smarter, he has a better IQ, he's an actual kickboxer, he can't rely on his strength all the time. Bruno Ferreira has only been relying on his strength. And he got rear naked choked. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Like I said, I meant to make this video 2 days ago. I haven't rewatched the fights. Yeah, he got choked out. Honestly, Abus, great performance. Work on your cardio. You can be really good. You can be top 15 easily, Abus. Just work on your cardio. Stay more consistent. Because this fight was not a tough pace. This first round, it was not a tough pace. I don't know how you gassed out. I mean, obviously, it was a fight. Stuff happened. Nothing crazy. Nothing like one of the later fights up here. You can't be gassing out in that first round. Nothing really happened. Good performance, nonetheless, though. Bruno Ferreira, despite me saying that he's not good, he still impressed me. He looked good. He looked like he could be confident and capable on the feet with Abus, which I knew he'd be just because of power, but he showed pretty good technique. He's just dumb. Sometimes a fighter's just dumb. It is what it is. Bruno Ferreira could have won that. He didn't. He really could have finished him. He really could have. But I chose Abus. I'm happy I got the Abus pick. I'm actually really happy about it. By the way, this is probably fight of the year. And they almost robbed Rebecca. I chose Orablai. I would have loved for Orablai to win. At the end of the day, he just didn't. He was getting beat up. He landed really good shots on Rebecca. Really good shots, actually. But it was clear that Rebecca landed the better shots. He landed more shots. He had more takedowns, especially in the third round. He easily won the third round, and I think I want to give him the first, because Orablai's eye, you could call the fight, the first round probably, right after their first round. You could call the fight then. But respect to Orablai, he's a monster, man. I know it's because he's inbred and he's a caveman and he's everything, but he's a fucking monster. He's built different than everybody. Literally. DNA-wise. Rebecca, man. But Rebecca, the reason I said Orablai is because I didn't think Rebecca would be able to push the pace. He pushed the pace, but he did gas out. You saw that near the end of the third round. And Orablai, it was a split decision, but it was just very clear who won the fight. Rebecca clearly won the fight. While it was a close fight, Rebecca, he had more takedowns than him. He outstruck him. He landed better shots. Rebecca's cut, his main cut, was open from a head clash, to my knowledge. I'm pretty sure. It was open from a head clash. So does that count as actual damage? I don't think so, but obviously refs can't really see that. They just say, okay, he's cut open. We're just going to take it as it is. We can't see if it's a head clash or not. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Orablai's a beast, man. He really is. He didn't deserve a split decision, but he's a beast. Maybe fight of the year. The blood. When I tell you that the octagon after this fight was just fully blood, it was nasty. But I wouldn't want to be on there just in case one of these guys has herpes. It was a crazy fight. I loved watching this, and this was the fight where I said, okay, I'm gonna take a shit. I didn't want to, but like I had to take a shit. But I pulled it up on my phone because I'm like, you know what? It's Rebecca Orblett. I have to watch this. I pulled it up on my phone. I sat and I told it for 15 minutes. I was done with my shit maybe 7 minutes into it, but like I couldn't get up. Why is this motherfucker texting me? I couldn't get up. I had to finish the fight. I'm very happy I did. Fight of the year. I know some people are probably saying, "Oh, Gaethje Holloway." Gaethje Holloway wasn't that great actually. Yeah, fight of the year. Just both guys have like they're just warriors, man. They pulled through so much adversity. Or there's a clip of Orby literally getting like punched in the face. It wasn't defending himself, but the ref knew, hey, I'm just gonna let it continue. Orby's clearly not done. He clearly had more to offer, and it was just a great fight. If you haven't watched the fight, watch it yourself. Amazing fight. I'm very sad about this fight. I chose Jeff Neal, knockout, second round. I really like RDA. I think RDA is amazing. But the problem is he's getting a little older. While he still does have the skill to fight here, physically he's not the same. Jeff Neal, I said that Jeff Neal would be a lot more motivated after his fight with Ian Gary. Because he would watch the Ian Gary fight back, and he'd be like, okay, if I just pushed more of a pace, I could be where Ian Gary is. You know, like, if he just pushed more of a pace, he would be up there for Ian Gary, MVP, all that. But he didn't. So I assumed that he'd come out and he'd be like looking. He'd be looking to push a pace, not make the same mistake. And I was fucking right. I was right. TKO. Obviously, I feel actually really bad for him because this TKO is gonna be shunned by RDA getting injured, but at the same time, RDA got rocked before he got injured. Jeff Neal was gonna finish him before RDA got injured. So that's why I feel bad. Obviously, I feel bad for RDA. Going out like that sucks. But Jeff Neal, man, I told you he'd have that vengeance. I told you he would have that drive and he'd make up for it. That was the Jeff Neal I want to see in future fights. That Jeff Neal is something I want to see. Because he can be a top contender. I love that. I love that. But, like I said, I feel bad for him. He kind of got robbed of the finish. Obviously, he got the finish, but let's be honest, it's going to be shunned because RDA got injured. Really sucks, but great performance otherwise. And there's not much to say. This fight only lasted a minute and 30 minutes, or a minute and 30 seconds, and Jeff Neal obviously took control immediately. This being the main prelim was horrible. Or it wasn't a horrible fight, because it's only 51 seconds. This was a can performance. It was literally just a can crusher. Ebo Aslan, I think it's Ebo Aslan just destroyed him. 51 seconds. At first I said early stoppage when I was watching. I'm like, okay, he's still in the fight. He's still defending. That guy was not, or he was defending, but it was kind of an Adesanya Pereira moment where he was gonna go out. Ebo Aslan put the pressure on him immediately, rocked him 3 times. Eyes rolled back to his head. He went cross-eyed multiple times. Rafael just didn't have an answer for the aggression, and I said Ebo Aslan's probably gonna win. I think I win TKO because, like I said, this guy is special. I want to see him get actually tested, but this guy is special. He has the aggression. He has the power, especially at light heavyweight. And this guy, while this guy's not a can, the guy he's fighting, it's just short notice, not really any experience. You don't get thrown into the main prelim on your debut fight, and it's like, it's just a lot of pressure to live up to. I didn't think Rafael would live up to that pressure, and I was right again. I went pretty well in this card, actually, but 2 fights coming up, I felt really bad. Shara Magomedov. I'm not going to lie, I thought Arman Petrosyan was winning a decent amount of this fight, but while he did outstrike him, he got landed on more cleanly, I would say. Arman Petrosyan was landing a lot, obviously, but he got landed on more cleanly. This fight was actually really good. It was just a pure technical kickboxing fight. Shara was really good at that. Obviously, so is Arman. I hope Arman doesn't get cut from this. Arman's great, at least in terms of striking. But the problem with Shara is that if he gets taken down, he's probably gonna lose. That's why people are saying, "Oh, just put Bo Nickel versus Shara." Bo Nickel would probably beat him pretty fast, light work. Even though he arguably didn't do great against Cody Brundage. Performance of the night for Shara, I don't know if I would say this is performance of the night. I think they should just bring out knockout of the night. Obviously, I think that'd be a lot better than having two performances or three. I don't know how many they had, but honestly, I wouldn't say it's performance of the night just because it was a really 50-50 fight. This fight was really close, but Shara had one of the best knockouts I've ever seen. Double spinning back fist one way, and then he countered it with another one. This guy's really innovative. We already knew that. This guy's kickboxing is extremely good. He's not going to get the Israel Adesanya fight. He's never fought someone ranked. He's not going to get that fight. Which I said that he should fight Kevin Holland after this. He probably will. And honestly, he'd probably lose to Kevin Holland and... Nah, probably not Kevin Holland, just because Kevin Holland gives up a lot. He'd probably lose to Israel Adesanya. Adesanya would most likely destroy him. But, I mean, it's a good performance. Like, it wasn't performance of the night where, like I said, but Shara was landing a lot better. His straights were really good in this fight. His kicks were good, but they weren't as effective as they usually are. Armin Petrosian really impressed me because I knew he was good. But I also knew he wasn't the type of guy to beat Shara, because he would just strike with him, and Shara usually finds a way. Very smart fighter, has a lot of power, surprisingly. And he's just... There's something about him. I thought this fight would go to decision. I went Shara decision, but I'm very certain if this fight went to decision, Shara would... He'd probably win either way, just because it's Abu Dhabi. We already saw what happened. Knockout of the year. I had probably not knockout of the year. Max Holloway's was a lot better in my opinion, but one of the best knockouts of the year. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I've really never seen anything like that. I don't like Shara as a person. I don't respect him. But you got to give props where props is due. Amazing knockout. Good performance. Because Armin's not a can. Like I said, Armin is good. People said it'd be a layup fight. But it's not really. Armin, he's alright. He actually is alright when it comes to striking. But you can't just have a pure striking battle with Shara because that's all he's good for. He's only good for striking, so you can't have that. It's like when Juwan Hill stand up with fucking... Or really anybody stand up with Alex Pereira. It's like, why are you doing that? Just go the Jan Blachowicz strategy. Just take him down and you'll be fine. This fight, I called right. Lerone Murphy, I said he would lose the first, which... He did, I'm pretty sure. He got knocked down. But I said he'd win the last two just based off pure skill. Because Dan Ige, while he did have a close fight with Diego Lopez, that was probably the best Dan Ige I've ever seen. Like I said, that was like top performance Dan Ige. And people are saying, oh, it's short notice. But like I said, that's his best performance. And I think he was going to perform like that again. But Lerone Murphy, I already said, he's probably the second best prospect to come out of the really UK. First, if you don't count Tom Aspinall, he's an amazing prospect. He's really good. He's just, people disrespect him. They don't understand how good he is boxing wise. He 10-8'd Barboza twice. He's just amazing boxing wise, and takedown. He can grapple a lot. Dan Ige is a very one-dimensional fighter. While he can grapple, he's not elite on the ground. Neither is Lerone Murphy, but Lerone Murphy's just... While his grappling's not the best, his wrestling is. His wrestling's amazing. His boxing's amazing. He got dropped, but Dan Ige has a lot of power. I already said he's a slow starter. I called this fight basically perfectly. I expected a little less takedowns, but you gotta do what you gotta do to win. Lerone Murphy's really good. And honestly, I was actually kind of scared they would give it to Dan Ige. Just because the judging's a little weird, obviously. You know, it's Abu Dhabi. I said that like 8 times. Lerone Murphy, really good prospect. And I can't wait to see him fight again. I don't think he'll be Topuria level, but I think he can be definitely top 3 at featherweight soon. Because we're at the end of an era. If Volkanovski gets knocked out, he's probably going to retire. If Max Holloway goes up to lightweight, which I think he will, he's gone. who does that leave? Those are two of the main guys, two of the top contenders who are out. I think Laurel Murphy, he'll fit in there perfectly. Laurel Murphy is extremely good. I'm really excited for him. Dan Ige, he always gets his knockdown. He always gets something. Like I said, he's a great power puncher. I will say, though, Dan Ige, even though he's on a 2-fight losing streak against Laurel Murphy and Diego Lopez, he's looked the best I've ever seen. He looks really good. He looks really competent. I'm sure he'll defend his ranking, and then after he defends it, he's going to fight someone else, and he'll probably win that fight. He's really good. Like, I want to see him do good, because I like Dan Ige a lot. You already know how highly I rate Laurel Murphy. If you can do that with Laurel Murphy and just strike with him, Barboza couldn't. If you can do that, you're really good in my book. I chose Rakic because I don't think Ankalaev is that good. And in a way, I was kind of confirmed on that theory that Ankalaev isn't as good as I thought he was, or isn't as good as other people thought he was. But I was also wrong in saying that Rakic looked amazing. Which he did. He looked amazing versus Jiri. But he couldn't keep it up. He didn't have the gas tank to outwit Ankalaev. And he didn't have the pressure. I said the one reason he would win is because he's really good at counter-striking and backing up. I don't want to say this fight was boring, but it kind of was. Like, at least to me, because I'm like, okay. It's the same thing happening. Ankalaev's just going to slowly pressure him, and Rakic is going to give up. And I kind of thought that after the first round. I thought Rakic won. I thought he won the second round, but I thought he won the first. My bad. I thought he won the first, but Ankalaev came back, won the last two. Rakic just really couldn't keep up. He was getting hit a lot. But like I said, the one reason I don't think Ankalaev is as good as people think he is because this is now his best win. Rakic coming off a knockout to Jiri. It's his best win. So, if he plans on doing that with Pereira, standing up like that, he's gonna get knocked out. He's gonna get knocked out. Rakic isn't on the level of striking as Pereira, and you're not gonna pressure Pereira. You're not gonna do that. I understand they're around the same build, but it's like Rakic isn't Pereira. Rakic will willingly go backwards, and he'll try counter-striking, but his chin's not the best. And Pereira, he's going to push forward. Ankalaev, when Rakic would push forward, he didn't really have an answer for it for the most part. But like I said, Rakic really faded late in that fight. I don't want to see Ankalaev. I do want to see him fight Pereira, but I don't want to see him stand up with Pereira. I understand that he's actually more of a kickboxer than a lot of people think he is, but he can't do it. With all due respect, he's not knocking out Pereira. He's not going to beat him in the stand-up. I think this proves that. He didn't look great at all. He looked good, but considering Yuri knocked out Rakic, he didn't look great. He didn't look as good as people said he was, and he definitely didn't deserve to be a huge favorite like he was over Rakic, but I still got to pick wrong, so at the end of the day, who cares? I'm still mourning over this fight. I chose Robert Whittaker because I didn't think Khamzat Chimaev was that good. And I still don't believe he's that good. I believe his strength is amazing. He has insane strength. Obviously, we knew that the first round was going to be extremely hard for Whittaker. And I still think Dricus du Plessis beats Khamzat Chimaev. I still believe that. I still believe Paulo Costa has a decent chance against Khamzat Chimaev. But I don't want to say it was a fluky win. Because obviously, he hurt Whittaker, broke his jaw, like literally split his jaw. And he completely dominated the first round. But at the end of the day, it's like that's a standard, right? For like Khamzat. I thought he would take the fight a lot slower. Or I thought he'd have his first round. But I thought he'd take the first round a lot slower. And I thought Robert Whittaker, I think he'd be able to just not give up. Which I thought he gave up. I'll be honest. When he tapped, I think I had the reaction as a lot of people. I'm like, why are you tapping so early? Why are you giving up? I understand. I would have retired right after that, which he might retire because that's one of the worst injuries I've seen, at least jaw wise. That's one of the worst injuries I've seen. It's very hard to come back from that. If he can and he wins, amazing, but I don't see him fighting again. Hamza Chimaev, really impressive performance, but like I said, it's literally, if he doesn't win the first round, he's not going to win at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I was betting on. He's not going to win if he doesn't win the first round. If he did win, which he did, this was the performance I expected. Great performance. But it doesn't show me anything I didn't already know. So, while it is a great performance, I've seen Dricus do this. Not to the same level, but I've seen Dricus fold Whitaker. I'm not trying to be on his dick. I'm not trying to be like, oh, Dricus will destroy this guy. Dricus does everything better than this guy. Because I don't think he does. But in a way, I feel like I didn't learn anything from this fight, at least about Hamza Chimaev. I do feel bad for Robert Whitaker, though. I really feel bad for this. But like I said, his jaw, he's most likely going to retire. His teeth were indented. It was one of the worst injuries I've ever seen in my life. Maybe not one of the worst, but really bad. Hamza Chimaev, though, impressive win. But how impressive is it really? You know, like we've known Whitaker, we know that he can fold under pressure. At first, I thought Whitaker maybe broke his jaw in a different way. Before I saw the picture, I just thought it was a simple break. He broke his jaw simply. And I thought, okay, Hamza Chimaev, I don't think it was from the hold because the hold didn't last long enough, but if you watch it, he really cranked on that jaw, even if it was for like a split second or two. You could see Whitaker's jaw just go completely sideways and it just made a really weird. It's hard to see because, like I said, he's on the bottom. But at first, I was like, okay, Hamza Chimaev fluked this. It wasn't because of his choke. I think it's because of his choke now. Incredible power. I've never seen that squeeze in my life. Khabib didn't have that. And I know Hamza Chimaev is a light heavyweight. And I'm saying light heavyweight because he's not a middleweight. He can't make middleweight normally. I've never seen that squeeze from anyone in my life. That is the strongest squeeze I've ever seen. And that makes me rethink a lot of predictions. So I guess I learned that. I guess I learned Hamza is the real deal. I already knew he was, but I guess I learned how strong he really was, which is just incredible. So while I was kind of on his dick saying that, oh, he's not as good as I thought he was, that's the one takeaway I had from this. Hamza, his strength is amazing. I still don't think he beats Dricus, but I'm sure there's people who think Hamza beats Dricus, and I'm like, you know what? We can argue about that any day. Like, who cares? At the end of the day, I give props where props is due. Just like this one. And I hope y'all give me props when props is due. Because I said Ilia Topuria, 4th round knockout. The first 2 rounds, he was going to go for leg kicks, slow Holloway down. And I said he would catch Holloway on the outside. Is that not almost perfect besides the round? I said it. I said Ilia. Because he stopped throwing leg kicks in the second round. And as soon as I said, Ilia, you gotta keep going with these leg kicks, he started doing it again. I love Ilia, man. I think Ilia is amazing. People hate him, but I feel like people hate him because they love Volk and Holloway. It's like if he fought anyone else, they'd probably root for him. And I think there'll be a lot of Ilia fans after this, but let's go into the actual performance. He started the first round really good. He got outboxed a little bit, but obviously his intention wasn't to outbox him. His intention was to slow him down. The thing that people don't give Ilia credit for is that he's really technical, he's very smart, he has really good game planning. In the Volk fight, he kept it slow and started pressuring him so he can find the range and make Volk feel comfortable. In the second round, he knocked Volk out. In this fight, he went the leg kicks like I said he would, slowed down Max Holloway's movement, which you saw, it had a huge difference. I also said that the height would probably give Max Holloway problems, which it did. He didn't feel comfortable moving the same. He didn't feel comfortable kicking the same. Or he did, but it wasn't as effective as we saw like it was against Justin Gaethje, just because the height difference is a little weird. While Max Holloway, I said it was 1-1. Max Holloway won the second round because Ilia Topuria knocked him down the first. Say what you want, if it was a knockdown or a slip, the judges don't know that. He won the first round. Max Holloway won the second. But I said that his leg is compromised. He's not moving the same. Ilia Topuria would catch him with a hook on the outside. Because Ilia Topuria extends. When people, for example, Volk, I don't mean to just reference Volk and Holloway, but like it's Volk and Holloway are very similar, just different sizes. So he extends. So when people will just go back, they're usually like, okay, you swung twice, you're done for your combo. Ilia will step through on combos. So Max Holloway, even though Ilia was on his side right here, Max Holloway went all the way over here, and he's like, okay, I'm safe. And then Ilia comes in, takes a step, and extends with a hook. I said he'd catch him like that. He did. Ilia's elite, man. Ilia's elite. He took Max Holloway down effortlessly. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Max Holloway got up every time. But he has good wrestling. Really underrated jiu-jitsu. And I saw someone saying that, oh, Ilia's only a good boxer. No good kickboxing. His leg kicks were the main tail of that fight. That's the reason Max Holloway was slowing down. That's the reason Max Holloway wasn't comfortable anymore. And that's the reason Ilia Topuria started landing the third and second a lot more. Because he slowed him down with leg kicks. That's just a really bad take. They said that we haven't seen his grappling. Ilia, he has submissions. Like, I can't name that off the top of my head. Because I'm not like that glazing. But, wait, I'm fucking autistic. Wait. No, I don't care. Let's just continue with the performance. He can grapple. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has good wrestling. He showed it. But I think what people really underestimated was his boxing. People were saying, oh, he knocked out Volk because Volk got head kicked. I still agree with that. I still agree Volk shouldn't have came back on short notice, but that's still power. To flatline someone, that's still hard. He flatlined Volk. He didn't flatline Holloway, but he definitely TKO'd him and knocked him out with the hammer fist. He's elite, man. And this is my 6th main event pick in a row that I got right, which I'm very happy about. I'm hoping to get 7 with the Brandon Moreno card. I'm very happy because while I do love Max Holloway, I didn't want to hear him saying, "We're gonna find out Saturday night, buddy. I'm gonna give you a cheer. I'm gonna take you I don't know, brother. I don't like his trash talk. We needed this. This is the star in the UFC that's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna knock you out." My dog just barked. I want this guy to be like, okay, I'm gonna knock you out, and then he actually knocks you out. I want him to follow through what he says, and he does it. People hate him for now because they only see the trash talk and they only see the highlights, and they're like, okay, I hate this guy. He's really arrogant. Which, I mean, y'all love Hamza Chimaev, who used to trash talk all the time, say that he's gonna just destroy everybody. I don't understand why y'all don't like Ilia Topuria, who does it, but probably in a more entertaining way. At a higher level. I don't get it. But this is the star we need. Ilia Topuria, he's the future of the featherweight division. He took out arguably the two greatest featherweights of all time. I know he hasn't taken out Aldo, but he never will. He never will take out Aldo just because Aldo's going to stay at bantamweight, as he should. Ilia Topuria, man, he's legit. He's actually legit. I don't see anyone in the featherweight division that can beat him. I really don't. Aljo, the main one I haven't seen is Diego Lopez and Aljamain Sterling. I love both of those. I thought Aljamain Sterling, he was my favorite fighter for a long time. He's one of them still. But it's like, Aljamain Sterling has to stay consistent for 5 rounds. That's the type of pressure that Ilia Topuria has, and the power. People said, oh, he's going to gas against Max Holloway. He has a known history of it. No, he doesn't. That's a baseless claim. There's no evidence to him gassing. He basically 50-40 forward Josh Emmett. There's no evidence of him gassing. I don't know where people got that from, but I mean, if it makes them retarded and makes my picks work, I'm down with it because I look like a genius compared to them. It's just a stupid take. Like, this guy, I hate the glaze. I hate to say, like, oh, he doesn't have a weakness. But he kind of doesn't. Besides him slow starting. But the only reason he slow starts is because he paces himself based off the fight. He wasn't really slow starting against Volkanovski. Granted, fucking hell. Granted, Alexander Volkanovski pieced him up a little bit, but it's all due to his pacing. He paces himself for 5 rounds. So the cardio take, horrible. It's one of the worst takes I've ever heard. People saying he has no jiu-jitsu or wrestling, another horrible take, because he does. He showed it multiple times. He took down Max Holloway effortlessly, very easily. And Max Holloway has good takedown defense. He's good. He's really good. I don't mean to glaze. I don't mean to suck him off. But he's really good, man. And I don't think a lot of people are realizing that. He went... I think he's pound for pound number 2 right now. I think he went above Alex Pereira, which I agree with. Because he just beat literally 2 of the all-time greats. The 2 best featherweights of all time, he just beat knockout pretty easily. Maybe not this one easily, but... I mean, we all felt the aura, not like, oh my god, I'm literally sucking his dick crazy, but it's like, we all felt something was going to happen there, you know? We saw Max Holloway get hurt in the second round, and I knew Ilia Topuria is going to win this. That's the feeling that he gives people. Or maybe I'm just on his dick. I'm just saying, he's good. People are saying, oh, Islam Makhachev by whatever he wants. I'm going to make a video on that, by the way. This week, I'm going to make a video comparing Islam Makhachev to Ilia Topuria and stating some arguments on who would win that fight. I'm going to make a lot of Ilia Topuria content. Just because he's honestly one of the biggest stars in the UFC. He's the most interesting because we don't know. We just don't. He's a champion. But we don't know. We don't know what's the limit to his boxing. Because we've never seen him get pieced up. We've always seen him in these fights against good boxers like Max Holloway. We've always seen him in these fights. Josh Emmett, power puncher. Not really the best boxer, but the most dangerous featherweight. One of the most dangerous featherweights. Probably second. We just don't know. We don't know how good his wrestling is. Because we've never seen him have to use it, really. We don't know how good his jiu-jitsu is. Because we've never seen him have to use it. I want to see the limit on him. It's the same with Khabib. I want to see the limit on this person. We know Khabib's limit. He's not actually that good, but I want to see the limit. And I think a lot of people also want to see his limit. I don't see anyone beating him. I don't see anyone at featherweight beating him. But like I said, I'm going to go into that later on future matches for him. Honestly, the main takeaway from this card is that really good card. Can we not go back to Abu Dhabi more? Please, can we get one of these cards in the USA, in England? I'm down with England. I'm completely fine with that. Can we get one of these cards at some other place in Europe? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even trying to be disrespectful to Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia, but it's y'all get everything. Everything. But this fight should not have taken place there. There's no reason for this fight to take place here. There really wasn't. But I do understand. People are saying, oh, USA gets nothing good. We got UFC 2. I know it sounds like I'm blinking right now because there's nothing good. We got UFC 298 and 299 and 300. If I'm not mistaken, we got that. Because, Sean O'Malley was Miami. Alexander Volkanovski was Anaheim? I want to say Anaheim. And obviously Vegas was 300. So we got 3 amazing cards back to back. I'm not going to really complain about that. But someone asked Dana White at the press conference, can we go to Abu Dhabi more? With this judging, with this start time, nah. Nah, we don't need that, bro. We don't need that in our lives. But at the end of the day, amazing card. I'm just going to go through all the fights again. Renat versus Carlos Leal. Carlos Leal really won this. Honestly, 30-27. I'm leaning 30-27 Carlos Leal. He's on steroids. If he's clean, keep him in the UFC. Ishmael versus Bruno Silva. Ishmael really destroyed him like I said he would. Bruno Silva just doesn't have it in him. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He wants the money. And I mean, fuck it. Keep him for the money. Who cares? Basharat versus Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo missed weight by 10 pounds. Basharat he still just out cardio hit him. Like he took the fight when he didn't need to. Top 15 for him next. Like he's a great fighter. Honestly, yeah, he's just a really good fighter. So is Victor Hugo too. That's what makes it even more impressive. Nizuchuku versus Chris Barnett. Nizuchuku, he just destroyed Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett got a freak injury. That didn't matter. Let's be honest, that just didn't matter. Kennedy looks good at heavyweight, but he still has a bad chin. Abus versus Bruno Ferreira. Abus looks really good, which in the first round at least, which he always does. Bruno Ferreira also looked pretty good, impressed me a little bit. But he's retarded, and he sold the fight when he could have won it by knockout. Good submission by Abus. Really good technically. Rebecca versus Orblay, fight of the year. Blood everywhere. Both these guys are warriors. I got the fight wrong, but I'm very happy I even got to watch this fight. I don't know if Orblay will ever be the same, just because how much damage he took, and I'm sure he will, because he's a great fighter. But it shouldn't be a split decision. Like I said, this fight should not have been a split decision. Rebecca clearly won. But just, I don't care. It was a great fight either way. Jeff Neal versus RDA. I said Jeff Neal would push through later on. I said RDA doesn't have it in him anymore. Jeff Neal, good knockout. Like I said, the knockout's forever going to be shunned, just purely based off the fact that RDA went down for injury. But it was a good performance by Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal would have knocked him out either way. Ibo Aslan, there's not much to say about this. He fought a can. There's really not much to say. Shara versus Armin Petrosian. Shara still looks good, but we still don't know the extent of his wrestling. I'm sure you put him against any decent level wrestler and someone who actually wants to wrestle with him, he'll probably lose. So let's see him fight in the USA. Any place that isn't Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia, please. Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. I got this fight right. I called this fight perfectly, basically. I said Lerone Murphy, even though he might get knocked down, he has the heart, he has the skill, and he's going to outperform Dan Ige in the later rounds, which he did. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. I chose Rakic. I said that he'd be able to beat him just purely based off him being... Ankalaev likes to pressure people a lot, and in my opinion, Rakic is the best at dealing with pressure in the light heavyweight division. He usually fights on the back foot all the time. But he didn't look as good as he did in the Yuri fight. And I don't think Ankalaev's striking is as good as he thinks it is. I think Ankalaev will easily get chinned by Pereira if he decides to stand with him. Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev looked good, but like I said, he looks like this every fight. You expect this. If Khamzat Chimaev wins, you expect this from him. This is what you expect. And we already knew that if he won, this is how it would be. We didn't really learn much from this fight at all. Robert Whittaker might retire. I recommend he retires, even though I love him. Khamzat Chimaev, great strength, probably the strongest. The strongest squeeze I've ever seen. If he can get his arm around anyone and set up a choke in any way or just any submission that involves squeezing, he probably wins the fight. Like, that's probably just like a given at that point. Ilia Topuria, we still don't know how his potential is. He knocked out Max Holloway. I recommend Max Holloway moves up to lightweight just purely based off the fact that when you get knocked out, you don't want to make that same weight cut. He already struggles with this weight cut. He's been struggling for years with this weight cut. Just go to lightweight. You looked amazing. Your chin will be better. Ilia Topuria is real, man. He's real. He's just the champ, and he has potential to be the third. Honestly, he could be the greatest of all time. At featherweight, not now, obviously, but a couple more wins. Beating Max Holloway, knocking out Max Holloway and Volkanovski, especially if he knocks out Volkanovski twice, that's probably the best startup I've ever seen in a featherweight champion. Or really any champion ever. So, we still don't know Ilia Topuria's potential. And I recommend Max Holloway moves up to lightweight. That's my summary for the fights. Like I said, 8 out of 10, good card. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. My throat is extremely dry, no homo. I'm gonna hop on Black Ops 6. If you want to play with me, just literally link and tell me in the comments. So like I said, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna make probably 4 more videos this week. And yeah, I wish you all the best. By the way, I'm just gonna end this here because I didn't want to say this because it didn't really have anything to do with this video. The person who disliked my predictions, you're a bitch. I hate you. I hate your family. I hate everything about you. I'm not gonna call your family a bitch because I don't know your family. But I hate you. I hate your family. Why you hating on my content without giving me a comment? At least tell me what I did wrong. I know it seems like I'm angry. I'm just fucking around. But actually, fuck you.